Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Whiteboard Wednesdays with Richard and also Vanna. So the reason we're doing this is we've been instructed by our producer to be a bit more formal. So Richard is putting on a mock tie, and I'm trying to sound a little bit more formal. This is season 5, and we really appreciate the fact that you guys are still tuning in to the content that we're creating. We've had a very subjective poll, though, and in that poll, we actually realized that it is better for us to have Richard back on the show. So he is now our Rich back, right? So with that, he also is our general purpose expert, as you will recall, on everything to do with technology, gaming, and NVIDIA. And today specifically, we're going to be delving into the Unreal Engine, right? And we're going to look at how that fits into the whole NVIDIA kind of framework, and just where did the Unreal Engine come from, and what it has actually turned into, and how you can kind of benefit from that. So, so Richard, I mean, I remember as a quite a few years ago, I'm talking like probably 25 odd years ago, a game called Unreal Tournament, right? And that was effectively built on the Unreal Engine back in the day, right?
Yep.
And it was, if you couldn't play Quake, you played Unreal Tournament.
Absolutely.
Right, because Quake had that chicken run mode in which nobody got, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so tell us a little bit about where Unreal came from. As a semi-amateur gamer, you should have the history on this.
I'm going to make up about half of it, but the rest of it will be absolutely probably true.
Good.
So Unreal,
Yes.
was the very first version of Unreal was a game written by a team of guys. And it was written it was released in 1998, so
Jeez.
yes, more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And basically that was the genesis for the technology and what became the company Epic Games. Tim Sweeney was one of the programmers on it and one of the founders of Epic, and he is now the CEO of Epic Games.
Yeah.
And they now release the Unreal Engine, because what Epic realized was that part of what they had created was the ability to create.
Yes.
In this engine, an engine being sort of the building blocks of creating games.
Like a toolbox, right?
It's a toolbox for making games.
Yes.
And they had created this engine, and they've been refining it over time. Now, why are we talking about the Unreal Engine? Well, because of graphics cards, because you needed a new kind of hardware at the time to be able to use and play these games that now had these 3D graphics in 3D space.
Yeah.
So you had to have this new kind of consumer-grade technology called a graphics card.
I remember the first kind of video cards, and then proper GPU cards that I installed into my 486 box with a turbo boost button.
Exactly, and the wind-up crank to get
yeah,
it going.
absolutely, right. I mean, when the internet still sounded like a bunch of robots screaming through the through the phone.
Headbutting each other.
Yeah. So I mean, this is really going back to the genesis of GPUs and the initial application that you had for it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And that was where this sort of idea of these graphics cards came from, was mostly just this consumer people having fun.
Well, I mean, the gaming industry is...
Well, it's now the biggest media entertainment industry in the world by quite an order of magnitude.
So
bigger than
Hollywood,
movies, bigger than music, bigger than everything. Games is where you want to be if you want to make a fortune in media.
Yeah.
But that's not all that happened with the Unreal Engine. As it's grown and developed and evolved, what it has turned into is a way to create CG for movies. So now there's a lot of movie studios who use things like the Unreal Engine to develop, because again, this toolbox is so flexible. You use the Unreal Engine to create scenes, movies, CG for various kinds of movies. And now it's going another step further, or it has gone another step further, should I say, into new applications, which is digital twins.
Yes. I mean, that's something that we've spoken about on Whiteboard Wednesdays. Before digital twins, we've spoken about metaverse, we've spoken about omniverse, and how all of these things, they emerging, but they're also being applied in various areas, right? So, you're not just talking about the data and the crunching. We now, as utilizing this gaming engine to create these CGI worlds. And give our digital twins a physical, or a physical kind of look, I
Yes,
guess,
yeah,
within a virtual world, right? Or to model it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very good example of that would be, let's say you have a specialist mining engineer,
Yeah.
and he works in San Francisco. And his specialization, his unique specialization, is on a certain kind of geology mixed with the engineering that they have. Now, there might be a mine who needs his expertise, but they're based in
The Congo.
the Congo, exactly.
Right. Or somewhere out in
Somewhere,
the Pacific. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So what could then be done is, with the right mapping tools and the Unreal Engine and something like Omniverse, which we'll probably talk about in a bit,
Yeah.
you can then virtually recreate the entire mine such that this engineer could walk through the mine and look around it as if he's there.
Yeah.
That's the digital twin. That's it, his ability to see everything that exists in a different place,
Yes.
and then make the appropriate decisions, and he can work through that information that he can now visually see.
Well, I mean, it allows him. I mean, if you're creating a photorealistic representation of that place, right? And you obviously feeding that telemetry data into this realm that he's busy,
Yeah.
traversing, immersing himself into. Obviously, that allows a much more intuitive way of making decisions, not
Yeah.
just purely on empirical data, but also bringing in the look and feel and all of
Exactly,
those
yeah.
elements, right? So a much deeper, more immersive experience. It's
Exactly.
exactly what we've seen in movies, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you just not to promote anything here, but I mean the latest Avatar is just
Yeah.
magnificent when
Yeah,
it comes
incredible.
to CGI, where CGI is going,
absolutely,
and that feeling of immersing it in there. So in this world where it has a application in industrial digital twins, industrial metaverse, this is definitely something that is not just the domain of gaming anymore, right?
Absolutely.
It's transcending into different industries.
Yeah. In fact, you'll find that with NVIDIA, their focus now, that gaming's almost an afterthought to them. It's their focus is on AI. It's in this GPU modeling. They care about the enterprise customer far more than the gamers, because the enterprise customer is now what's pushing the technologies.
That's actually an inflection point, right? Or a switch, a tipping point, really, in what is driving
Their business, yeah.
that technology, and what is that future look like. Obviously, the gaming industry is, like you say, it's massive, it's huge, it's still a massive driver in pushing the technology, but it's for a certain use case, certain application.
Yes, quite a specific subset of people use it, and yes, it's a large subset, but there is so much more
Yeah.
that you can now do with basically the unbelievable toolbox that is the Unreal Engine, or something
Absolutely,
similar,
yes.
to create and emulate anything.
So, I mean, we've got this ability to create these virtual environments or photorealistic environments. Obviously, apply them into gaming, apply them into the industry, various industries. We're talking medical, mining, aerospace, smart city planning, automotive. It's pretty much anything that we work with, in the physical realm, can be digitized now.
Exactly.
And represented. So another thing that's been, we've seen Jetson, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, has spoken about generative AI being the iPhone moment for AI. So Unreal Engine, generative AI, digital environments, what does that fusion look like?
So, that is fascinating. That is where you are now combining what you have and what exists with what doesn't, because that's what generative AI is to take ideas and create something new.
Yes.
Now imagine for a moment that you are, again, taking that example of an engineer in a virtual room, and how he now needs to design the perfect, silly example, but a scaffolding, for argument's sake, to hold up the mine shaft. In where he might ordinarily have to go and sit down at his table again, extract himself out of that situation, go and draw, write, whatever he needs to do the calculations. With generative AI, he could say, AI, build me a scaffold that caters for this, and that.
Putting in the factors.
Put in all the factors, put in all the information, it will be able to generate it in front of him, and he can then almost effectively verbally give it prompts and say, well, change this, do that, increase this, change that. Have you thought about this? Evolve it. And now you're getting to the point where no longer are we just mimicking what exists. We are now able to create new, and that allows us to really, really rapidly evolve in our problem solving.
I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, so in the field of engineering, as an application, I mean, this is absolutely fascinating because we're abstracting creation, or the act of creating.
We're abstracting it, and we're also facilitating the rapid research, because that's really what AI does for us. Is it at the moment, one of the big things it does is it collates all the data for us to our goals. So we say we need X, it goes and reads all the web pages, finds all that information, collates it into something valuable, insightful, interesting, and says, here's the result that you require to find.
Yeah. I mean, we've touched briefly on Omniverse, digital twins, integration with, direct integration with Unreal Engine, the ability to create these environments. What's the possibility of actually introducing generative AI into these worlds? There's a lot that we could actually unpack. So we would like to ask you guys, if you are keen on this type of topic to be explored as a bit of a sidebar to our normal kind of discussions that we have, please give us a like on this. Let us know that this is something you want to do. If not, just don't tell us that you want to see this, and then that's fine. We also appreciate that. We'll just do it on our own at lunch. So Richard, thanks so much. I mean, it's always fascinating chatting with you around these technologies, the application thereof, and we're definitely going to be seeing more of you on Whiteboard Wednesdays of Vanna and Richard. I think we need to call it that going forward. Happy?
Yeah.
You guys happy?
Awesome.
Good.
I'm happy.
See you guys in the next one. Thank you
Cheers.
very much.
Hello, I'm Brian Karras, Technical Director of Graphics here at Epic Games.
Hi, I'm Jerome Plateau, Art Director of the Special Project.
A few years ago, we got together as a team and brainstormed where we thought we could push forward the state-of-the-art in real-time graphics. There were two key areas that stood out. The first, dynamic global illumination. Beautiful bounce lighting instantaneously.
I don't have to be constrained to do a game where the world has to be static, and I'm able to iterate a lot faster.
And we call this new system Lumen. And we're about to show you what it is capable of. But first, there was another area that we thought we could push forward. Truly virtualized geometry. The artist wouldn't have to be concerned over poly counts, draw calls, or memory. We could directly use film quality assets and bring them straight into the engine.
And that's a big deal for artists. I just want to be able to import my ZBrush model, my photogrammetry scan, my CAD data, without wasting any time optimizing, creating LODs, or even lowering the quality to make it hit frame rate.
In the end, that's what it's all about. Art that just works. And we call this new technology Nanite. Here is the future of Unreal Engine running live on a PlayStation 5.
Awesome, let's take a look at it.
This has to be the right way.
Please don't forget to like, share, and follow our LinkedIn page.